Good morning.
Is that the camera?
I called.
Yes, I'm gonna fix it in one sec, hold on.
We call her Karen.
Well, you gotta be kind of close so you can't hear anything. Oh, you know what? The angle's not bad, so everyone smile.
Everyone said we're gonna angle. I'm just gonna say like this stuff. Can we have like the camera coming down?
Yeah, I'll hold it the whole time. Does everyone else ignore my messages, Heather? Thank you for stepping up, because everyone else ignored them.
We should be permanent, no innocent status. Okay, folks. Cameras on, mics on.
Yeah, that's right, Sean, tell them.
I love it.
We want to make sure that people are actually here. Thanks, Melissa. There you go, and Robbie too. And Manju, yeah, team cameras.
You said a pinata.
If you guys are ever really, really hungry, my bottom drawer, my filing cabinet may or may not be full of crackers.
Crackers right there.
There's crackers, there's granola bars. I like that. I like that.
Oh my gosh.
I have salad dressing in my refrigerator, but I don't have any salad.
Wow.
I used to have those.
Oh my God. All right, when Sean comes back, we've got it on Zoom too for anyone that couldn't come in person. We'll wait for Sean to come back. Sean!
Needed a pen to talk.
Let's take
It's
notes.
his microphone.
Good note taker.
That's good code. All right. Thank you, panel. Thank you, everyone, for coming. So today we're going to be talking about representing buyers in this crazy market and how to handle multiple offer situations and hopefully win in those situations. So we have an awesome panel. So I'm going to go down the line, just introduce who you are, maybe how long you've been in the business. I don't know, whatever you really want to say about yourself. So we'll start with Sean.
Hello, I'm Sean Yaselonis. That's for I run the buy sides for Justin Gall's team, and this is my 5th year in real estate, all in Newtown. And let's work. Let's get some offers and contracts.
First and last name, Heather Ayala. I've been in the business 13 years too long. So no, I'm just kidding. I don't know, what else do you remember me? I like long walks in the love.
We pick a lot of the good ones.
I'm a productivity coach.
Like,
I 2020 sold 48 units.
Perfect.
There.
All right, Vince.
Vincent Kings, this is my 2nd full year, had a license for a while, part-time here and there, and, gonna help.
Product of productivity coaching.
Yay. All right, Larry.
Larry Minsky, in business a long time. And looking to learn something on multiple offers.
There you go. All right.
When I grow up, I want to be like Larry.
That's
My goal in life.
And I'm in business with my wife.
All right, perfect.
So,
So what we've done with the panels in the past is just kind of, I haven't necessarily gone down the line with who everyone's answer. It's just if you have an answer, just speak up first, and then we'll just leave enough time that for everyone to interject. And usually we end up just having great conversations. So it's not necessarily that we're going to be completely structured. It's better if, we all kind of collaborate. So, first question, especially since the market is the way that it is right now, how do you communicate with your clients, as they're looking to buy, as we're starting the process, how are you communicating with them from the beginning on setting expectations?
On the phone.
So I actually generally have been, because by the time you can get, if you have husband or wife to sit in front of you, half the houses that they would like, they're usually gone by then. So I will offer to set up like a Zoom like later in the day or, on their lunch to try to get both of them together. Or you kind of feel feel on which one is more the, no offense, guys, I've been seeing a lot of the happy wife, happy life kind of thing, like, oh, whatever my wife wants, so then I tend to just try to like figure out what the wife wants. But I always, especially in this market, buyer's consultation right off the bat, set up the expectations, let them know if you're looking to come in and negotiate and try to get a really good deal and come in 10, 15,000. Really nice knowing you was, I'll be happy to put you in touch with another agent, but I'm not the agent for you. But just setting up the expectations and straight to the business.
And they're all aware now. Everybody knows about the market. Everybody knows it's hard to buy. So the expectations are easier, but only we still have to be very direct. And I try to keep it objective. Like, I try not to say that as best I can, but more like letting people know this is what winning offers are entailing. That's the line that I use with every single buyer. It's my responsibility to let you know this is what, for people that won't wait an inspection, let's say, we just won't do that. Okay, I would never advise that you do that, but it is my responsibility to let you know what winning offers are entailing. That takes it off us. So when they can't find something, we don't get fired.
They learn their own lesson.
It's a product of the market.
I find myself running into like typically like three main types of buyers. You got your two types of first time buyers who are like they're totally oblivious to what's going on, or they're almost overly fearful of being fined. So it's like with one extreme or the other. The one that's like oblivious, they're overly confident, they can negotiate a deal and stuff like that. Then the ones that are fearful, you kind of have to, like Heather said, build their expectations up. You gotta do expectations on both sides, but they have different adjustments needed. The third buyer though is the ones that maybe bought the house in a completely different market, and then they have to be educated on what's really going on. Because, I said, yeah, I had a lot of conversations, they worked then, now we gotta do something different. You wanna win, you wanna be successful. So that expectations, like one side stuff to develop, because everybody has different experience. That's what I think.
I think it's important to set the expectations up front. I find it helpful to share some real life stories of wins that we recently had with here's what we do to win this. And I laid out some of our strategies. Because when you do find their fuel hole, then you ask them how much over asking prices. Why? They put it.
Right. I was gonna say like setting expectations before you're writing an offer too, or when they find that house, that they like, what are you saying at those moments when, like, right before that, what are you saying to them?
So even when we're out and about, I'm gonna say that home across the street, sold in 3 days, or it's up over asking. If you have a history of share some of the strategies.
Right.
And then make it better.
Yeah.
I'm a huge proponent of the stories. And I
Yeah.
get if we're a brand new agent, you don't have the stories. But I would just, as Justin explained to me very firmly from the beginning, it's a we. Anybody on your team, anybody in your office, if you're in here, like having conversations, attending these events, it's a we. You can use anybody on this panel stories, they're your stories too. Because it's just a perspective. We need the buyer to know, like Larry was alluding to, that like this has happened before in the most fearful times, mid-transaction even, or mid-writing an offer. Oh yeah, we saw this, and this is the positive outcome that happened. We can handle this. We'll keep this under control. It's always a we, in my opinion.
A lot of people chew on the math. So it's like, we gotta go over, but listening on the fact that we have low enough interest rate to do that, so it's affordable. So
Right,
don't worry about how much the seller's getting, worry about how much you can afford monthly. And, have a 5-10 year plan that if the market was to turn because of those fearful ones, that you're committed to this. You're doing a 30-year commitment anyway, so the house should theoretically be more money or worth more 30 years from now. That's, comforting.
I don't know if anybody else is having trouble hearing, but I can't really hear you guys very well.
It's on this, so speak up.
We're not loud enough or clear enough?
I'm assuming you can hear me because I'm loud.
I can hear, I can always hear you, Heather, but I really can barely hear. I don't know if it's where the microphone is or,
I don't have those. I might have enough room.
but it's really hard to hear.
Can you put
See if
on
I have
that,
my-
be like, you'll be able to see on my breakout. That's happening.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Just put it.
Whisper down a little. I'll yell for you.
There you go. So it's gotta be. I'll just hold my pen up. Alright, careful with the wires. There you go, okay. Okay. Where were we? Okay, so have we closed out setting expectations? Are we ready for the next question?
Yeah, I was just gonna add,
Yeah.
I think it's important, as mentioned, to share the math with them. So $20,000 over asking is a substantial amount of money to the seller.
Mhm.
That's an extra $20,000
Right.
hits their bottom line. To the buyer, it's $8 a month. So if you share the math, and you, doesn't, to win, it may cost you $800 a month.
We just talked about this actually in my immersion class today when I was teaching, and I said, people automatically get scared of like, oh, that's $20,000. So I do like, okay, for a difference of your out of pocket, you're looking at a difference of $275 out of pocket. And, you know, are you really gonna lose this house for, you know, the house of your dreams for $75? Is that $75 to make or break it? And if it's yes, then they may have to, if they're, you know, looking up to 300, you know, okay, we know, I keep telling them that the price that you see on the house is the starting bid. So if you are looking for, you know, if you're approved to 300,000, we might want to start looking at houses at that 275 to give us room to negotiate if we need to, if that's truly where you're comfortable with your, you know, the monthly. But I'm I was teaching them earlier, big black and white, look at everything in black and white, and educate yourself on the black and white. So as soon as you're out there, the conversation just comes freely and you're not tripping over your words.
Don't be afraid to make those expectations right at the gate, because you're gonna have to go back and reference this the moment we're ready to put an offer in. You don't wanna have that conversation when they're in the house.
Looking at the numbers, I agree with Larry, is maybe the single most important thing when you're trying to get a buyer who either bought a home in a different market, or more commonly has an aunt, an uncle, a parent, a cousin, somebody who's older that bought a home in the 90s and they got it for such a great deal. Well, it's our job to make sure they know it was a good deal, but they also had a 14% interest rate, you know? So looking at the numbers, and I always say, this is by no means like, if you have a good lending resource, like they'll do the estimates for you, they should. Let me know if you need one. But like, it's our responsibility to look at the numbers before we submit an offer, to look and see exactly what the difference, exactly to the penny, what the difference in monthly payment is at ask and at 20 over, at ask and 30 over, ask and 10 over. And I always say, by no means do we have to submit this. We're not committing to submitting this price 30 over, but we're not doing a winning job if we don't look at these numbers. It's not, it's your money. You know, you have to make the decision. I don't have to make that decision, but I'm going to present you with the opportunity to make that decision. Yes, we have to look at the numbers.
Awesome. Thanks, Phil. Okay, so now we're ready to put in an offer. We talked about this the last time that we did the buyer's panel, and we had like great conversations about it, about talking to the listing agent. So, and other strategies, like, you know, if you're gonna put in an offer, what are other strategies you use in that communication aspect to win it? And then we'll get to like what we write into the contract.
We got divorced in this last
Yeah.
one.
But yeah, we'll talk a little bit about, calling the listing agent and what you ask when you get them on the phone.
That is like my biggest thing, just, and I want to say, like, pick up the damn phone. Do not text them and say, I have somebody that's interested. Call them. How many offers do you have? When are you presenting? What does your buyer or your seller want to see in the agreement? Is there a date that means something to them? Are they looking more for, you know, no inspections? Are they looking for, you know, some kind of waiver? Are they looking for, you know, somebody that can give them a rent back? Like, find out, and not even that, like, get on the same page with the listing agent. I'm gonna get fired from volunteering to be up here, don't be an asshole, like, to people, like, be nice, and they will be nice back, like, somebody doesn't wanna work with somebody that's coming off cocky or something like that, so if you're setting off a vibe that the listing agent doesn't wanna work with, they're gonna remember that when they're presenting that offer. So build a relationship with them, let them know that you are committed to getting to the table just like they are, and you're gonna work with them, not against them. And you want this to go just as smooth for the buyer as the seller. So again, the win-win or no deal that we always talk about comes into play when you're calling, but I hate when I get text messages that say like, hey, writing an offer, well, congratulations, you and 12 other people are too, but I'm gonna remember the ones that call me and are like, what do I need to do to get this to the table?
Tiebreakers.
Yes, all the time. Or if I'm looking at agents that I have worked with in the past and I'm like, ooh. So I would say, stay nice. And don't break your connection. That was my skill.
Have the confidence to ask tough questions. Like the starting line for me anyways is always some sort of preparing an offer. I always like to call and introduce myself personally, kind of check in and make sure we have time. Every single time, I want to call, introduce myself, and let you know I'm preparing you an offer, and I really just want to make sure we have time. I know we have time. Even if it says right on the MLS in the notes, especially if it says anything it says in the MLS in the notes, I reference that in that first call. I see your notes. I want to be respectful of your time frame here, but I still would like to confirm in person that we do have time. I know how it goes with, I'm sure you're getting a ton of interest. I'm sure that you're getting a ton of calls and emails. So, I appreciate you taking a few minutes here. I really just wanted to make sure that we have time, and then that opens, we want to get them chatty, right? Listing agents, I want to get you chatty.
Yeah.
And when you compliment and then give an acknowledgement that I'm following direction, like boom, boom, you're in. I want to make sure we have time. Well, of course, they're going to talk. They're going to start saying, we have 1, we have 3, we have 10. It's just about having the confidence to ask those questions. Another tough question that I always ask that I think some people don't is, I don't know who alluded to it, but like, what do your sellers weigh more? I'm interested in submitting winning offers. What do your sellers weigh more? Would you weigh more? Are they looking for more like term-based strong offer or price? Are they looking to get the max net that they can, or are they looking to get rid of contingency? I know both, and then you're just joking and having a conversation, and yeah, when you get the chuckle, it's over. They're eating out of your hand because they want to do a deal with you at this point. They don't want to do a deal with the 5 people that text them. What I don't know. I've never texted. I don't know. What do you say?
What do you say?
Just pick up the phone. Have the confidence in yourself. Again, it comes back to the we part too. Like other people in this office have the confidence, and they'll be willing to talk to you and answer any questions at a drop of the hat. Call me if you have questions. Like it's a we. So you can use that confidence to ask, what do your sellers weigh more, terms or price?
That's like the best when they do answer and they're like willing to talk, like. All of us in this office are like super personable, like that's all you have to do is come, like actually want to close the deal with this person, like everybody's be happy.
And sometimes you'll get a listing agent that doesn't answer the phone. You leave them a general voicemail, like would love to connect. Here's my cell phone. Please call me back. I'll be available this time. They'll text back. Say, yep, sure, we're taking offers. Like, okay, well now we're at a disadvantage. I got to go back to my buyer. That's the other thing too. Your buyers notice when they only text back. Now my strength is gone, and we have to go in blind and just put in some crazy note. We have to assume final invest by Sunday. We have to assume that we're waiving something, and it just goes to show, like, if you start the process in the right way by reaching out on the phone, it's going to lead to the best results.
It's funny that, Larry, you list a lot. Do you do, in your listings, presentation of offers? I think, do you do those?
I don't, but I will.
So.
I love
He's like starting today.
Sorry, I didn't want to put you on the spot. So the agents that have presentation of offers, they have them in there for a reason, and sometimes it's because they're on a team or because they do a good amount of business where they want to make sure that they're not going back and like, oh, you missed this, or you missed this, you missed this. If somebody has a presentation of offers in there, follow it. It's only going to make you stand out. Like if they're looking at 10 offers, like, oh, well, these 4 followed my, my presentation of offers, they obviously read they're going to be a little bit easier to work with than somebody that's like completely, off. I'm a big advocate and I've won many, many, many offers on my presentation on how I present my offer. So when I send it, I do not, no offense to you guys if you do, I don't send it from DocuSign and it just, can you open it? Can you not open it? I don't know. I download mine, I send them as a PDF, I send a summary of my offer so they can literally just look at my offer. This is what my offer is, this is what any contingencies that we have. So they don't necessarily have to open it right away. And it just looks more organized, it's more, put together for them. And then they don't have to, when they're sending it over to their seller to sign, they can just take the agreement of sale. They don't have to try to separate it from the million other documents that you're sending over. So it's, I think, first impression isn't always just for dating, it's for real estate too. So come off as an agent that somebody wants to work with, make their lives easier, because in the end, it will help you. So I'm not saying you have to do a presentation offer, but if somebody has one in there, I follow it.
And if they do, it's better because we get to that personal relationship, right? Because now I have a page of things I can reference to let them know I saw what you're saying, I hear you, and I'm accommodated. And that's won me offers countless times. Address dash document dash sign, or
Just
address
naming your
dash
file.
document. Listing agents reaching back out to me repeatedly.
Cheers, right there.
I just wrote repeatedly.
No,
Thank you so much for the clean presentation. That is what won you the tiebreaker. We want to work with you. Thank you for including your lender in the email, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
That wins offers.
I was gonna piggyback off, like, even if there isn't a presentation of offers, I would say, like, keeping that email organized. I'm glad that you went into that, because that is
All it takes is
so,
right click, rename, make it nice.
yeah,
make it
it's
clean.
such a simple thing.
I have a template that I literally just copy and paste it and I fill in the blanks on my emails that I
Tom
send over.
Henry has a really, he's got like 5 or 6 templates for different features. Yeah, it's like really clean, and I started doing that with like the help of like Sean, different stuff. And I just had an agent that I closed with from KW Zoning, who said the same thing, like, yeah, there was like a few personable, like, oh, your clients are from Florida, and I've also like, why am I filing? Like, it was like weird stuff like that, but he said that one of the reasons why my TC and I were like, we want to use work with you, because your email was really clean and told me everything that was in the agreement sale without me having to go and find stuff, like, broke it down. That definitely helps. Like, I tell my clients that too, like, that's a value prop you could say, like, I pride myself on being the best co-op to work with, so that will help us win offers, not just our offers.
Marty, do you have a question?
No, but that's how I met Sean, as not a comment. I had 13 or 14 offers on property one side. And he was one of the few people that called me at Berkshire. And I did the spreadsheet and just the fact that he called, explaining the offer, she was an investor friend. Also a cash deal.
It's cash 30.
It was really good. But the thing is, sometimes I feel so good. You make the call when you didn't know it. You know what I mean? I think that goes wrong.
Yes.
Because most people just text or anything like, pick up the phone, you know these people, you know? But anyway, that's how I met Sean, and that's how I ended up here, because it was a transaction, right? Not the bumps.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good job.
Anything else, Sam?
No, I think it's important to reach out and call, and it's okay to ask a listing agent, what do I need to do to work?
That's what I say every time. I'm only interested in submitting winning offers. And my buyers are in the same mindset. So any insights that you have, I'm not gonna ask you for a number, ... and then I let them know.
But you technically can, so that's a big thing. People are like, I can't tell you what the highest offer I have it. You can. If your sellers think it's okay, there is no rule, law, or anything in Pennsylvania that says you can't tell somebody what the highest offer that you have on the table is. You're working for your seller. If your seller says it's okay for you to disclose, then it's okay for you to disclose. So if you call someone, they're like, I can't tell you that. Well, why? You wanna come work with us and we'll teach you that you can.
All right.
Can I ask a quick question?
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry. Heather, the one conversation that you were having, you kept saying like to follow something. I kept missing what you were saying. Were you just saying to follow, like,
Sometimes you'll see in listings, so if you click on the little document, the little paper thing at the top where you find the seller's disclosure, sometimes you'll find in there, listing agents have a presentation of offers forms. And it literally puts out in there what they want you to email them, what they want to see in the agreement itself, if they have specific verbiage, like if a contingency date falls on a holiday or weekend, some verbiage about that, or something about settlement dates or something like that. So sometimes it's literally a checklist that the listing agent wants you to follow to send the offers over, and some people just don't even look at them and will, send over God knows what, and they don't see anything in there, so they know that you didn't even
And you automatically.
We could
look at
share,
their notes to be able, to be easy to work with.
we could share.
And that's what they have on the MLS.
Yeah, some people do.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
So Sasha, I know uses one.
And I think
Pat
Pat
does too.
Stralley, I know,
Yeah.
uses, one,
Not yet.
One other thing, if you can't get in touch with the listing agent because they won't pick up the phone or they're just texting you or whatever, one thing you can do, that's worked for me is, call them or text them. They don't pick up, leave a voicemail message, hey, I'm so-and-so about 123 Main Street. I'd like to discuss, some feedback I have for the house.
That's smart.
Verbally give it to them, don't do it just through showing time. I mean, do it through showing time, like give them the feedback, they need that, but verbally tell them, and then on top of that, that's how you get around the whole approach if they're just kind of keeping you at that distance. You can kind of get in because they need that from you anyway. Then after you have that conversation, hey, my one-liner is, what's the most important thing for your client?
Mhm.
I've had some people speechless from that, and they really had to process. And it's like you keep a secret to yourself, I mean, you want to tell that secret. So as long as they're doing their fiduciary for their client, like Heather says, if they want to disclose it, they'll tell you. And you say, well, see what I can do, my buyers can pay for that. And then, just tell them before you get up front, I'll give you, feedback, do your thing, and then remarks, writing it off. Makes them feel more like that conversation wasn't a waste of their time. In fact, you're going to, put an offer in.
Mhm.
And then if they share that with their clients, it's not like, it's exposed, everybody knows, it's an offer coming.
Mhm. Awesome. All right, next question. Now let's get to the nitty gritty. What strategies are you using to win in multiple offer situations? So specifically, like, what are you writing in your contract, if it's waiving sections, if it's price points? What the strategies, like lease back, stuff like that, what have you been using?
So if you start from the very beginning of the agreement.
Yeah.
But kind of said earlier, I think it's really important to send over a complete package.
Mhm.
Where the offer and all the supporting documents.
Right. In one,
One email.
not 100 different.
Yeah, so that you're listening.
Yeah.
But if you're specifically looking at the agreement of sale, and you're starting from the top and working your way down, with the initial deposit. The days of $1,000 are long gone,
Mhm.
right? Now we're putting 10,000, 50,000 right up top.
Right.
You'll say 2% days are even gone.
Yeah. And now it's 5%.
They want so much.
And I've been trying to just do one deposit instead of a first and a second, just to make it easier, less back and forth. They know, the money's there. If your
That's
client's
right.
serious, you don't have to worry about trying to fight to get it back, so.
That's across the board too. I've almost every listing agent, all of them. They want 2 days instead of 5, and they want one deposit instead of 2. I've never done 2. I honestly never.
What other strategies?
I want to hear you going down.
Yeah, go work your way down. Work your way down that contract. You need to figure it out.
So that's why they're filling in your settlement day.
Right.
So you wanna try and get the date that works best for the seller.
Which you have from the original call, right?
Conversation. And I think it's okay to, in the offer, have a note that you're flexible in the closing.
Okay.
You do want to have a date in there, but you can have an asterisk.
I've been seeing that, like, the date and then like asterisk seller's choice or something like that. And then the next line after that is actually your transfer tax.
Just put
I
it
had that as my note. from
That-
last time.
I've been using that as a big one, so especially if you're worried about appraisal, or if you're not maybe as strong as a down payment and, appraisal can become an issue, you can offer to pay the transfer tax, and you can put that literally right in the agreement itself, especially if it's FHA. That's been a big thing. FHA does have to be in before it can't be something that, oh, you didn't appraise, let me go back and add the FHA in. They can't go back and change the system. So that has to be upfront. That's been like one of my biggest things right now is the transfer tax. If your people have cash, obviously, if they don't have cash, then.
Do you want to say more about what the transfer tax has to do with appraisal? Like
So
minimizing the gap?
so if you're trying to minimize the gap in appraisal, so if you're putting, so if someone's buying a house for $300,000 and, transfer tax is 1% to each side, if you're in the county, Philly's a whole different story. I'm not even gonna try to do that math right now, 2.14 times whatever, feel free to do it. So instead of, if somebody was willing to pay, 305,000, if they're willing to pay the, if they have that $3,000 to pay that 1%, you still only have to appraise for that 3,000. You don't have to appraise for that 303. So if someone put 305, but they are nervous about appraisal at 300, they might say, I'm not really worried about that $2,000. I would rather not have to worry about the appraisal, appraise for the 300,000, and they're going to pay the closing costs because the seller is still going to net the same, but not have to worry about the appraisal. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, and that's, I'm happy you said the word net, because that goes back to how we started, setting expectations. If you already had the conversation and differentiating, educating on cash versus mortgage money. And obviously, as a buyer, we care less about mortgage money because it's a spread over 30 years, X amount per month. So by doing the transfer tax, you're going to let your buyers know, like, it's all the same to the sellers. It's just net. But to us, we want to put this on the sale price. It technically, because it's just mortgage money for us, then it's less impactful. But there's other impacts. Insert what Heather was saying. It could widen the appraisal gap. And also, it's just like, here's some cash. See ya, close. So they know too that we're giving up our mortgage opportunity for mortgage money, like a discount on that $5,000 or $3,000. We're just saying, you know what, here, let's not even see what happens with the appraisal, just take it right now. And setting that's what's wild, setting that up at the beginning. Now your buyer, when you have that conversation, you guys are familiar with the difference between cash money and mortgage money. So this is the real life example of that. So here's our options, and and they're confident and prepared, and they love you. Because you talked about it 2 weeks ago.
It's like, I permanently remember that call in my mind for
Yeah.
the rest of my life.
Yeah, and then insert story. If they're not understanding, insert story. I had buyers that were in this area in this time frame, and this is what happened. This is how we won with the transfer tax. Oh, that makes sense now.
I put in where people were afraid of, appraisal right off the bat. They don't want to necessarily seem like they were overpaying. That's a big thing for people, like, because they know as soon as it's, public record, someone's gonna call and be like, I can't believe you spent 30,000 over asking on that house. So another way around that is if they do have the cash and they don't want people to see that they're necessarily, I have had my buyers pay both sides of commission. I have had them pay transfer tax, so this way we're not worried about appraisal, we have the cash there. It's not that, oh, if it comes back, this is the loan amount, this is it, we're paying, we don't have to worry about it, and that's still sometimes, 15, 20,000 that they're willing to pay. And, I do that on a separate form, I don't know. I'm a big person of not putting everything in the agreement itself, so lenders don't necessarily have to see it. But lenders do need to see if they're paying, closing costs, they don't necessarily care. But I need to put that on a separate form. Appraisal waivers. I have a love-hate relationship. I'm sure Larry will appreciate this one. You're not a lawyer. Do not just randomly write stuff that you can't back up as from a broker standpoint. But now the new appraisal contingency actually has the waiver. I love the new appraisal contingency, the waiver or the actual contingency in there that you can, put, but also don't leave it completely open-ended. Don't just put you know, my buyer will pay appraisal deficit, well,
They
good,
actually
because
tell
if
you.
if it just came $60,000 short, can your client, you know, put that, before this waiver came in, I was a big person that used to put in, between list price and,
Contract price.
contract price. I'm not gonna be responsible because you overpriced the house, so my buyer, you know, if it comes in for lower than the list price, then we can negotiate it out, but if I'm willing to overpay, then we're gonna be responsible for what we're willing to overpay, not for what it was on the market for. So appraisal waiver, just be very careful and protect your buyers. That can get sticky. What's your next favorite one?
Yeah, go ahead.
The pre-approval and pre-qualification. So I would recommend that the lender, over qualify the buyer. So in the old days, the qualification used to come in at the same amount as the offering price. Now, I think it's stronger if your buyer is overqualified.
And buyers are fearful of that, in a way. Well, doesn't that mean they're gonna ask me for more money? That's not how it works.
Just because you have $1 million in the bank doesn't mean you have to spend it on a home. But if you are buying a home for $400,000 and the pre-approval comes in for $600,000, as a listing agent, I know they're well qualified. Comparing it to another pre-approval that comes in for the purchase price of the home, you know how much. They're just
Hand in hand with that is a solid BFI.
Yes.
So don't have, you know, if they have $50,000 in the bank, don't put that they have 25, just enough to, you know, buy the house, show that we, you know, you have room. And again, it doesn't mean that they have to use that money, it just shows that they are very qualified, that they have money in the bank, that they make good money, that they're, yeah, they can make up the difference. The liabilities, they're, that's why. The income ratio may be lower than, you know, somebody else's, so if something changes or, you know, God forbid, you know, something happens, then they have the money there. Like if someone's at a very tight debt to income ratio, they are one swipe of that credit card away from not being able to afford the house. So you want to make sure that they have all of that in there, so just make sure that they're, again, going back to the whole package is solid.
If I have a weak BFI, I'm definitely going strong on that BFI. It just speaks volumes, like, I'm not afraid, I'm all in for this house.
Yeah.
Especially if you channel that from the buyer, like, they're confident and they understand everything. Like, my BFI is showing that I'm barely gonna get into this house, and I gotta show that I'm that dedicated to get in this house and I'm willing to lose this, like, whatever. And the other thing is, use your lenders with programs to strengthen your buyer's ability to keep that cash in the bank. Crazy times still are on this, and we don't know what's happening with the market and everything. So if the seller agent knows that whatever program they're dealing with pays for their closing costs or a good chunk of it, you got PFHA and all that, and that works for all the loans, FHA, conventional, and NDF. But the thing is, they don't have to pay 5% of their closing costs and or down payment, or a good portion of it. And the sellers know, oh, the buyer has money, can't back it up. So they love seeing that zero in the, seller assist box. So.
Yeah.
A lot of people will say, like, and this goes back to following the presentation of offers, some listing agents want you to actually send over a copy of the estimated closing costs. And that's just kind of more, so they don't necessarily even have to do the math right up to that. They want to make sure, okay, this is what your client needs out of pocket, this is what their monthly is. Let me do a quick debt to income ratio, make sure that they can afford it and they have the money in the bank. It just makes you look more prepared and they can do it. And have your lenders back them up, especially, I don't even just say, especially if they're a weaker buyer, but going back to Larry saying, like, if they're over, qualified, have the lender call or reach out and say, I have their pay stubs, I have their bank statements, I have a full package on them, we're ready to submit to underwriting, and it just gives them a little bit more.
That just won me a deal that came out last 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because the lender replied with a video email confirming he already knew as a potential discrepancy or something any competent listing agent would see in the buyer's financing, that, and he just nipped it in the bud right away. This is why that happened. This is how we resolved it. We've been working with this client for over a year, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you have to have a good lender.
Yes.
And that one's the little things, everything we're saying here, little things win deals repeatedly. And it's hard to win deals right now.
You're not sending an offer with quick loans.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. And you can tell your buyers that it's just not gonna happen. It's my responsibility to let you know that Quicken Loans or online brokers or online lenders are not winning. They're not part of winning offers right now. So choice is yours. You know, before we go on, I just wanted to touch on like the control that we have as representing our buyers. We're writing the contract. Everything we're talking about, we get to put in. So that goes for transfer tax and appraisal situations too. There's countless times where I'll put in, if my buyers aren't really receptive to a $600,000 house paying $6,000 cash at closing for transfer tax, just out of principle or for whatever reason, it's a good time to insert. There's no rule with the transfer tax. If we have one and they have one, but if you put in writing, I put it all the time, that buyer to pay 50% of seller's transfer tax in cash due at settlement. Buyer to pay $2,000 towards seller's transfer tax in cash due at settlement. It's not all in
It doesn't
thing.
have to be, it doesn't have to be the full 1%.
Yeah, any little bit helps. So if your buyer's unable or unwilling, you can still kind of get them to see and do a less percentage. Same thing with appraisals. For 30 over ask, and you do Heather's language about, buyer is willing to cover any appraisal, any difference in the appraised value and the contract price up to, like I put that all the time, up to $10,000, up to $5,000, up to $20,000. You put in 50 over ask. I don't want my people like committed to $50,000. So we'll put up to $20,000 in the appraisal difference. My point is you can customize everything, and it's our job to let our buyers know, like, there's strategies within the strategies. Does that make sense?
And as far as the repair or inspections, I've seen a lot of good feedback from the seller agents with the waive inspections, find out what their attitude towards doing a deductible, and give them the peace of mind that, hey, we're not gonna look for every loose board off the house. We just wanna make sure the roof is not caving in, the house is not faulty, or like, hey, we're willing to waive $3,000 or $5,000 worth of repairs down on the inspections. I wanted a multiple offer the other day just by him asking, he called me back and asked me, can you include your home inspections, the VA appraisal repair, and anything that comes up with UNL? Asked my buyer, he said, that's fine. It was only up to $3,000. Do you think that would have been good or bad for him to include those three things instead of just my home inspection? Yeah, I was kind of confused with that. I didn't know that was.
Maybe they know the home is
I think the more
flawless.
they do, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
If
that's
you
why.
know there's not gonna be $3,000 on the inspection,
Okay,
he's gonna want it.
which we were okay with. I just thought, I didn't know if that was hurt me. I just told my buyer. Okay. So,
No brainer.
But if your buyer, so I will never tell a buyer to waive inspections. I will never necessarily suggest it again. I will set them up and let them know that other people are waiving inspections, and that's completely up to them. And if they come to that decision that they are going to,
They're gonna win.
cover your ass, cover the office ass. We do have a form.
This is just.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people don't know that it exists, so maybe we can send it out to the office. So it's the KW Newtown form. That, yeah, it's like a warning. It says like, I understand, I will not hold, the office agents, blah, 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 liable that I'm waiving. And sometimes they want to waive the home inspection, but keep the termite. You can actually, I don't know, do I have it? Well, I strike through, like, if they are keeping the termite and, or just circling what they are actually waiving, but I have them sign it, like, cover yourself as much as you can, because you don't want them to move the house, the heater goes, well, you told me to, oh, no, I did not.
That's not implied though. Like when we, I mean, I never
I
given
am
them
not
that
an
form.
implied person.
When we give them, like, when I send them the first round of DocuSign forms to sign, with the agreement, deposit money, with everything, I always include the PAR form, you know, get yourself a home inspection with 10 pages.
Yeah, before you protect and get a home
Yeah,
inspection, I do too.
to me,
Technically, you
that's
only
good.
need to for the protect and get a home inspection on FHA, because you check it off on the box that, you know, the HUD form, but,
What about the accountability of, they checked with it and they signed it?
well, that can protect you, but they don't know if like, oh, you coached them into this, or you did this, or if you are like, they understand their rights of waiving this, and they understand the, what's that word? The liability, that's, yeah, cover your, the liability. This is, I'm gonna take Larry everywhere, and so we can just finish our sentence.
Yeah,
The
liability twice
liability
as
behind
key, too.
it, yes. Like behind everything, like I told you, that's completely up to you, sign this form, so this way, God forbid it ever goes to court, the more documentation that you have, the better it looks for you, and it makes them think, like, is this truly what I want to do? I don't want anyone to ever go into Winter South, having any hesitation. And again, you are in a referral business, so you don't want them, you know, 5-10 years from now, like, oh, he screwed me over and, you know, told me or implied that I should waive a home inspection, like, no, you know, she helped me out, she gave me the options, and we still, you know, got it if they're. Yeah, I would tell them, everything happens for a reason, if it's meant to be, it will be. Should probably have that tattooed on my forehead at this point, but if they put it in and they won inspections and they didn't get the house and they lost the house because they elected inspections and that house was not the house for them, and another house will come up. This is why we.
Yeah,
have
that's why they
last
argue
time we
last
had
time.
fire.
I'm about personal accountability, like, I don't know, I get it, I
He
get it.
loves waving.
I like winning. I like letting people know what's involved objectively with winning offers. And their decision is theirs, and I tell them 100 times. I get it, I get you're saying protect yourself, but I don't know, drunk monkey maybe. I just feel like if somebody put that in front of me, I'd be like, oh, wait,
My
do we
monkey's
really want to
silver,
waive
so-
this? If they made it, they're grown-ups, they made a decision to waive. Done.
He says they're all grown ups. You have not met my buyers. They may be over the age of 18.
But that, honestly, that's also because I don't want to speak for everybody. I know the communication I'm having with my buyers and other agents and everybody. Like, I know the hard conversations that my buyers and I have had, and they're prepared, they're ready, they make decisions.
Yeah, I mean, and I have this conversation. I have these conversations too, but all the buyers have a dad or an uncle or the second removed cousin that knows more than you have because they bought one house. So even though you're having that conversation with the buyer 1,000 times and they understand, and then as soon as they move into the house and the dad's like, why did you tell them? Oh, I had that conversation. Well, they didn't understand. Okay, well, they signed off on that. They did understand. So on 2 different forms.
Yeah.
So this is me going back to, you know, Papa Bear.
Feel that, like, nothing is a problem until nothing is a problem.
Right.
Who was in my class today? I recorded it. I'll send it to you. That was like my big thing. It's not a problem. And everyone gets along until there's a problem.
Those uncles and stuff, expert home buyers.
Yeah. They all have one.
That's a real life example of why another reason to set expectations is easy to say, but that's like, write that down. That's another one is you will encounter expert home buyers. You know, when like you guys are, and I compliment them, you guys are sharp, you guys are in the market, you're educated. Not everyone else in your life is, and you will hear kickback in your personal conversations, you will. So I want you to be confidently prepared to deal with that. You know, you're here following best practices, doing all the right things. They're not. And so then later when that happens, which it does, dad comes in, no way you're waiving this. And then now it's not me. At that point, the buyer's like, yeah, we are, dad. You don't know what you're talking about. because you built their confidence up, set expectations on day one.
Yeah, and I just had that at the buyers, consultation too. I'll say, like, you're gonna hear influence from a
Yeah.
lot of other people, whether it's somebody you work with or somebody that, you know, in your family. Is there somebody that you value their opinion that much that could change your decision during this buying process, that you wanna be part? And then I just invite them into the process up front, so it doesn't come in, and then that's the person I'm befriending as we're going through, like, you're the one I'm feeding off of. I was like, oh, I was just gonna say that, or like, oh, like, that's the person that you wanna win over more than the buyers if they have that much of an influence on them.
All right, so that was the last question, was appraisal, inspection, and contingencies. So we went over touched on a little bit of each of that. Does anyone have anything else to add when it comes to appraisal and inspection contingencies before we open up for other questions?
I always do. I just want to share a sense of optimism, and side note, this is a great lead gen tactic. I've been just following up with my entire pipeline last week into this week with optimism, because they're beat down, they're burnt out right now, and some of them are leaving the market. So I've just been reaching out and calling either who I've declared, the husband, the wife, or even the dad or the mom, if I know them to be the influential decision maker. And like literally even on the voicemail, I just wanted to check in to share my optimism. As you know, I'm plugged into the market, I'm active every day, every week, submitting offers, and I just, you know, as your resource, I just wanted to confirm, like, there is a glimmer of hope. In my opinion, we're past the blip. I haven't submitted an offer on a home that had 10 offers on it in like 4 weeks now, and that's multiple offers going in every weekend. And I said, for everybody, like, that's why you call too, because then you can actually have these conversations. And listing agents are starting to say to me consistently now for a month, oh yeah, we have, you know, we have one in, and there's 2 more supposed to be coming, plus yours, or some version of that, like a little bit like WTF is happening, you know?
Yeah, it's.
Like the seller, the listing agents are kind of feeling like, wait, I thought we were gonna have 30 offers. And so then all of a sudden you're joking with them, oh, that's great news, Amanda, I can work with 5 offers. I'm hoping we're done with the 15 offer days. And then LOL, everybody's happy, you know? But that's serious. That's real data. Like, I haven't submitted an offer on a home with 10 offers on it in a month. And we just won an under ask the other day. We won an FHA the other day. I've won a couple deals with inspections over the last couple of weeks. So it's happening.
Yeah, I just
know,
had
Other people don't know that.
multiple with all inspections,
Yeah.
nobody like.
We're plugged in. You're in class right now, talking to people doing this multiple times a week. Like, use that information, take that confidence, use it with your buyers.
I know Larry will like this one, so regardless of what you're in, when you have, get on the phones. Because the best market right now is off market, so if your buyer wants the inspections and can't necessarily go over asking and their FHA and everything like that, set it up for them that they don't have to compete, hit the phones, find out what neighborhood they wanna,
Yes.
you know, work in, and, Larry's fantastic on the phones, and I don't know if you ever heard his team on the phones, they're great, and they literally do it all day long. I know you get a lot of,
Yeah.
but you've been, yes, neighborhood calling, find out where they're at, call, get something off market. I have 2 under contract right now that, were off market, and it was from, I don't like the phone, I guess, I mean, I coach myself, but on the phone, guys. I'm not a phone person myself, I'm a face-to-face person, so I will literally just knock on the door. I keep bright colored postcards in my purse, in my car, in my glove box. And if I'm driving past a neighborhood and if I see the grass is overgrown or it was big during the winter, if I saw it wasn't shoveled or something like that, I literally will just stop in front of the house and I write a note, and I have a buyer that's, you know, looking, I knock on the door and I leave it in with a card. Some people call, some people don't, but even if your buyer doesn't like it, it doesn't matter, you can still potentially get a listing off of it. My sister has been my fake buyer so many times. My sister has seen more houses than she can probably ever do, because my buyer's like, no, I don't even want to go see it. You don't want to tell like the person now, all of a sudden you don't have a buyer. No, my sister's going to see a house with me. And then we're gonna find something that she didn't like about it, but then at least we had a rapport with the listing agent. So don't be afraid that, oh, it might not check all the boxes or something like that. Pick up the phone, make the call. If you can make it work, great, but if not, you can still get a listing, or at least, you know, build your database.
And if you're nervous about making that call or knocking on that door, it's totally normal. No, it's totally normal. How to combat that is, just do it. Just remember that everybody knows about the market right now. Every seller, potential seller, everyone in every neighborhood knows. They're more receptive to when I call them and say we have an interested buyer, that whole script. Less people hang up on me, less people give me the finger. Everybody's like, oh yeah, the market's crazy, huh? I'm like, oh, we're talking, cool.
If they hang up on you, if they first off, it's not an issue that was you, they have much bigger problems going on,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that you call them.
Yeah, yeah, you just, you have to, you should do it.
All right, does our panel have anything else to add? Any of the topics that we talked about? Does anyone have any questions in Zoom or in the room?
Start over.
Anyone have any questions? Zoomland, any questions? Everyone go to sleep? All right, well then, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, panel, for taking time out of your day.
Thank you.
and sharing all
Thank
your insights.
you.
Call us, just reach out, come in the office, something. If you have
Something.
questions, get them answered.
Joe called back.
Bye, Zoom.